Hello and welcome to my ClearUrSht readathon little update. It has been 2 weeks since the beginning of this readathon, so I figured why not give you guys a little update. Originally I was going to be weekly vlogging, but as you'll see with the books that I read, you really didn't miss out on much in the weekly vlogs. But let's just get into what I've been up to, what I've been reading. And also, if you're unfamiliar with ClearUrSht, I will have my TBR video linked in the description and in the cards above. That way you can check it out because I give more information in that video about the readathon, and it also has the links to the readathon announcement. So yeah, let's just jump right into my little stats I have. So I started off November 1st with 166 books on my TBR. However, November 1st is also when I get to choose any ALCs that I want from Libro.fm. And so I did get one from there, and then also I had a pre-order come in. So my TBR did go up to 168 books on November 1st. I started out the readathon by reading Zomromcom, and this one was a little bit of a disappointment. I did give it 2 stars. I do have a hit or miss relationship with Olivia Dade already. I either give her books 5 stars or I rate them 2 stars. This one just unfortunately was one of the 2-star books. And it's very sad because this book just seemed like so much fun and just like a silly goofy time. We are following our main character who teams up with her neighbor during the zombie apocalypse and ends up finding out that her neighbor is a vampire. And this book really just didn't work for me, mainly due to the fact that we jump into this book when the zombie apocalypse has already been a thing for many years at this point, so it is nothing new. And our main character already knows her neighbor. Although she doesn't know he is a vampire, she is sort of familiar with him. I was expecting more of a rompy like start to a zombie apocalypse. That's sort of what I got from the synopsis. And it just wasn't that, so I was a little thrown off at the beginning. But then this book continues and a lot of plot points just get skipped over really fast or just like happen really fast. These 2 characters end up teaming up with a whole group of characters in order to fight off this zombie apocalypse and to figure out who is responsible for this sort of breach in the wall, which is sort of like the whole plot of the book, is that it basically let a lot of the zombies out of containment. There's usually some stragglers, but someone like left the gate open, and so there's like some political things with it. Along with that, there are a whole bunch of different mythical creatures in this book. Besides vampires, we also have witches and demons and fae, and so there's like a whole cast of different characters, and basically they all team up together and are trying to figure something out. There is going to be a book 2 to this, which I'm unsure how I feel about, just because this one just plays out really fast. Like, I did by the end get really invested in sort of where this whole world was going. And I also truthfully did not care about the romantic relationship at all. Like, I didn't think they had any chemistry, so that was also a very big disappointment. But yeah, I really wanted to like this book, and unfortunately I just did not. Keeping with some disappointing reads, I read Keeper next, and this is a middle grade book that I also gave 2 stars to. In this book, we are following our main character, Keeper, who is 10. And when she was younger, her mother ended up leaving her and left her with like her mom's best friend. And one day this series of unfortunate events ends up happening, and Keeper decides that she needs her mother's mermaid magic to fix everything and make everything better. And so she ends up taking this boat out to the middle of the ocean to find her mother. In this book, I can really appreciate what it was doing. I definitely think the ending was very emotional and had a very strong message, which I really do appreciate. However, the entirety of this book was so hard to read because each chapter we are sort of following another random character in this story, and it jumps back a lot in time, and there's like no signifiers of anything going on, so it was a bit confusing. I also do not think we needed the POV of every single character we got in this book. Besides Keeper's point of view, we also get basically her adoptive mother's POV, and also the guy who her adoptive mother is seeing, who plays like a very big part in Keeper's life. We also get the point of view of their elderly neighbor and their elderly neighbor's cat. Keeper also has a dog. We get his point of view, and we also get the POV of a seagull. I believe that's all the POVs that we get, but it gets very confusing. We definitely don't need the POVs of all these things. I did think at first it was a little interesting to have the POV of the animals, but it kind of got a little annoying and also didn't really add anything to the story. But yeah, this one was another very big disappointment. And then I did end up going to the bookstore with my friend and I hauled another book. So that brings my TBR back up to 167. But then I read Outclassed. This is a political nonfiction book. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. It is all about how the left lost the working class and how to win them back. I definitely appreciate what this book was doing. However, this wasn't like the perfect nonfiction book for me. I do appreciate the critiques that the author has for the left and specifically leftist media and how the left generally believes in equality and fairness, and that's like one of their main points. However, they are constantly talking down to the working class, and I just really appreciate this author's perspective on this whole thing. And yeah, I think this was a very solid read. I don't have really too much to say about it, but I definitely think if you are interested in this topic, this is a really good one to pick up. It is one that was sent to me by the publisher. It is an old ARC. It did come out in May, but I'm definitely glad that I read this one. So speaking of those vlogs I was going to be doing for the readathon, I do still plan on doing those. However, the first week of November was a very busy week for me, and so I just didn't really get around to filming anything. I had only read the first 2 books at that point, and so really there was not any like vlog to be had for the first week. But for week 2, I was going to be reading all of the blue books on my TBR, and that vlog sort of flopped because I ended up DNFing the first 3 books that I was reading for that vlog project. So that is what we are going to be talking about now, is these 3 books that I DNF'd. And obviously that vlog got canceled, unfortunately. But, you know, 3 more books got off my TBR. Maybe in the future I will come back around to that sort of vlog challenge, but I definitely would have to choose a different color other than blue because I don't have too many left. So the first book that I ended up DNFing was Hamnet. This is a literary historical fiction type of story, and really just like the story itself and the writing style just wasn't my vibe, so I just went ahead and DNF'd this one. I also went ahead and DNF'd the Agathas. If you saw my TBR, you would have saw that this one was the one I was reading for a book outside my comfort zone. It is a YA mystery story, and I don't read YA, I don't read mystery. And so yeah, I already knew that this book just wasn't really the book for me. However, I did want to give it a try, and yeah, it's definitely not going to be my thing. This is sort of an Agatha Christie type inspired story, obviously, with the name, but I just was not into all of the high school drama that this one starts off with, which is similar to the next one that I DNF'd, and that is Bright Shining World. This one is another YA one. However, I think this one is more of a dystopian type of vibe to it, but we are following our main character, who is this teenage boy, and truthfully, I just did not want to be in his head. I didn't want to be there. I thought it was a little weird, didn't like it. I also looked at Storygraph when I was like marking this book as currently reading, and this one has a very low rating. I'll have it on the screen, but if I remember correctly, it was under 3 stars, which is very low, and a lot of the reviews were talking about how confusing this book was and how nothing was really explained or made sense, and our main character wasn't acting the way that someone should in such a situation. So yeah, I don't feel too bad about DNFing this one. And then the last book that I read was Elite Capture. This is one that I own the ebook of, and it is another political nonfiction book. However, this one is only about 150 pages, and that's sort of why I only rated it 3 stars, is just because I sort of wanted a lot more from it. I wanted the author to dive deeper into the subject and present more facts and examples, and yeah, this one was just very short. I feel like it was just very surface level, and I just wanted a lot more out of it. However, I do appreciate it for what it was doing. And so that leaves my TBR off at 162 books, which I think is absolutely amazing. As far as books that I am currently reading, I am about 50% of the way through Alchemized. I do own the audiobook of that one. And so yeah, that one is definitely going to take me a lot of time to get to, just because at the moment I do not have a lot of audiobook listening time, but it is one that I'm very intrigued by. It's this like darker fantasy, however I do know that there is a romance aspect to it, and I do know who the romance is between, and how that romance ends up playing out is sort of going to, I feel like, going to be the deciding factor of if I really enjoy the book or if I really don't. I'm right now sitting at this like in between of uncertainty of like how it's going to go. So I'm like very cautiously reading it at the moment, but like I am intrigued. I do think the audiobook is really well produced. So yeah, that is my audiobook, and I also got the ebook of it from my library that just came in today. So I will be probably reading it both ways, but I only own it as an audiobook. And then since I'm sort of in the nonfiction mood, I decided to go ahead and pick up Sex Cult Non. This was another one that was going to be in that Blue Books vlog. That isn't happening anymore, but I did still want to pick this one up. I have only read like the first chapter or like prologue type thing, in which the author is explaining her childhood and talking about like what the Children of God cult even is. And so yeah, I am really enjoying it so far. I definitely like the author's writing style. That definitely like stands out to me, that I really enjoy it. But yeah, I'm definitely excited to continue reading more in this one. And this is just the dust jacket, the actual books in my room. I'm very excited for this one. But yeah, that's it for this little update. I definitely want to get back to weekly vlogging. And hopefully the second half of November actually has some good books and I stop rating books 2 or 3 stars or DNFing them. Like, I really want to read some really amazing books. But either way, no matter how I rate them, at least I'm getting books off of my TBR, and I think that is really great. It makes me feel so much better knowing that my TBR is not as large and overwhelming as it once was. And I don't know if I already said it in this video, but for reference, for those of you who don't know, I started January 1st off with 341 books on my TBR, and I have been working so hard this year to bring my TBR down as low as possible. I definitely did some video challenges where I read the first chapter of books that I've had for many, many years and decided if I still want to keep them or not. And that really helped bring my TBR down. So hopefully, with my focus on ClearUrSht being my physical books, I'm really hoping to get a lot of these books read and off of my TBR so I can start 2026 off on like a clean slate. I know like I'm not going down to 0. There's just absolutely no way I'm getting down to 0 books on my TBR, but I want to start 2026 off feeling very confident and like comfortable in what my TBR is sitting at and not so like overwhelmed and anxious by it. So that is my goal. I know December I'm going to have a lot of time to read just because I won't be in school for the majority of December. I have my last class on December 6th, so I know that like for the rest of that time I will just have plenty of time to read, so I'm very excited for that. So yeah, that's my little rambly update. Thank you guys so much for making it this far into the video. If you did make it this far, leave me like the black heart or like the dead rose emoji to like symbolize Alchemized, since that is sort of the main book that I'm currently reading. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!